management of 2012. The first mandate is to monitor, evaluate, and oversee management of public resources in the county government. Two is to develop policies, economic and financial policies that will assist in the running of the county government entities. Three is preparation of the annual budget estimates and oversee the. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. That is a critical question. When you look at the public or counties, what always comes out is that counties are prone to misuse of public funds and a lot of corruption. Now, the assumption in one way or the other may be true, sometimes may not be true. But from my experience in the county administration, there is always an element of few individuals who may want to misuse public resources and engage in corrupt practices. How have I been dealing with this, and how do I intend to deal with this in the county government of Kakamega? Being bigger than where I am 3 times. One is to ensure and to enforce compliance with the law. And when I talk about the law, I mean the Constitution of Kenya, the Public Finance Management Act, and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. Because the element of mismanagement always arises because of people or corruption, people not following what is laid down in the law. Now, where I am, I have been very meticulous in ensuring that people follow the law. And this is what we have done. People work in government offices, but crucially, they don't understand the laws that govern operations. So what I've been doing in Vihiga is, first of all, to keep on appraising my team on the provisions of law. Whenever there is any new amendments in the law, let's say, like recently we had the public procurement and asset disposal regulations 2020, which came in place just the other day. So one is to ensure that people understand the provisions of the law. And how do you do that? Organize for trainings, capacity building, bring experts who are experienced or who have developed these laws. For example, officers from the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, officers from National Treasury, officers from Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, who can take our staff through these laws. So when they are familiar, when they know what they're supposed to be done, then we will realize that the element of misuse for public resources and corruption comes down. The other point or measure I will try to advocate is being within the budgetary or carrying out your activities within the budgetary provision. Because sometimes when people implement projects or undertake activities that are outside the budget, from the approved budget, then you will always experience an element of wastage and misuse of public resources. We must always live within our means as a very key element of reducing corruption and misuse of public resources. Another possible area where you will find misuse of public resources is, unnecessary programs. People creating unnecessary programs which are not of priority. For example, I always tell my staff, it's not a matter you have to go for all of them, which is there are some trainings, some trainings which are not very relevant to your area of operation. So instead of you wasting money to go for a training that you know very well will not add value to you, why can't we instead reallocate those funds to an activity or to a program that is, that is of benefit to the common humanity. Another point, another measure that I will put in place is to strengthen the internal audit function of the county government. Because the internal audit function is meant to check on what people do. And once this unit is strengthened, we will be able to reduce issues of mismanagement and wastage of public resources. So the internal audit unit must be strengthened to do their role. They must be supported to do their role. And the departments will have no option other than to implement the recommendations that come from the internal audit unit. Because when the internal audit unit is moving around and doing their audit, definitely they will get across those elements of misuse, those elements of corruption, and they will make recommendations as to how we need to reduce that. Then the final measure I will put in place is also to develop internal control policies that will help us to minimize instances of corruption and instances of wastage of public resources. A good example of such a policy or an internal control policy would be a policy on whistleblowing. A policy on whistleblowing that in the event any person detects an element of corruption or misuse of public resources, there is a way he can bring it out through that policy. And when people are aware that such a thing is there, then you will realize that they will be fearful to commit corruption and those misuse of public resources. So I remember in Vihiga, I've developed a number of policies, including interest management policy. This is a policy that helps to control how people, spend money through interest distribution. So when you have this policy, you will realize that you are coming closer to cutting the issues of misuse and issues of corruption in the county government. Because there are laid down policies that have been approved by the cabinet, and you have to pin somebody down once he reads the provisions of those policies. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, then the second question will be, you are aware of the challenges facing the Department of Finance and Economic Planning. Having served there, we understand from the CV here, you served as the chief officer in that department. And looking at you and the record that I have, age-wise and experience, I'm trying to relate this as much as I should, but I already know the other nominees who will work with by virtue of these committees. Age-wise, there are people who are experienced in terms of long service. And secondly, your office, I understand, holds some executive authority, the office of the CEC Finance, and the other CECs do not hold that number. And finally, the thing about the challenges, you worked as a chief officer, which I always believe is a backroom assignment in that department, but you're being put to the fore. Now your face has to come out clearly. Now you deal with the animal politics. You go to deal with the assembly directly. You go to deal with is it to the suppliers, the other administrative issues that come directly. Not that there's no face before you. You work for a CEC. Now you're a CEC, not a sponsor. So those three are talking about the age, holding an executive authority in terms of the best of the committee given department, then the politics now come into directly. Plus the other challenges you know about that office and how you plan to deal with such.
Through Chair, thank you for that very, I want to call it very interesting question. First, let me register my appreciation that in our midst there is a member of County Assembly from Iga, and he will attest to probably what I'm going to put across. It's true that a number of the CECs who have been nominated, they are well mature in age. It is true that I'm going to now operate in a professional and as well as political environment. And it is true that county treasury has challenges. Now, Chair, I want to go on record that as much as I have been at the back office, but I've also been equally at the center of the political wing, both at the Busia County and in Vihiga. When I was in Busia, for example, I was the intern in matters of budget implementation between the Office of the Controller of Budgets and the County Executive and County Assembly. Many times, Chair, there arose instances of misunderstanding between the County Executive and the County Assembly, and more particularly on the budget approval process. And I would be called many times to go and arbitrate between the County Executive and the County Assembly. So ideally from Busia, I developed some element of politics in me, or rather how to manage the politics of the day between the County Assembly and the County Executive. And we worked with them so very well. There are instances where things will be so hot, and when that hot and you feel like now you can run away, sometimes you now have to invoke help from the controller of budget in Nairobi. But all in all, most of the issues that could arise on the budget approval process, we could handle them and solve them at the county level before we escalate them to Nairobi. Then in Vihiga, I have worked very well, very well. And my honorable member, who is just at the gallery, can attest to it, is we have worked extremely well with the County Assembly of Vihiga. In fact, as I talk now, the county assembly of Vihiga was not even willing to let me go because of the way we have interacted with them so well. There are issues that arose in between these 5 years that I've been there, but I have been always the neutralizing factor between the county executive and the county assembly. This small man you see here. As much as I would sit in the back office, but many times when fire would come, in fact, His Excellency the Governor would send me to say, now, Imbayi, wewe ndio unajua kudili na MCS. Please kindly help us to resolve this matter. And I think in that line, through chair or honorable chair, there should be no worry about how I will handle the political environment vis-a-vis the professional work that I'm also going to carry out. Equally, we have faced politics from stakeholders, that is the citizens, contractors, the suppliers, the oversight bodies, and we have been a very key instrumental person in helping to resolve those issues politically that have come up from those stakeholders that I mentioned. Now, let me come to the issue of my age vis-a-vis these other members of the county executive. Through chair, putting aside my experience and every other thing, in county treasury, if you want to succeed in county treasury, administration of the county treasury, then only do your business in line with the law. So there should be no worry about these other members who are in. Me, I am guided by the PFM Act. I am guided by the Constitution of Kenya. I am guided by the Public Procurement Asset Disposal Act. I am guided by the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012. So, our way of operation, when it comes to office work, it is guided by the law. So, it will not matter how old you are, how young you are. Let us just observe what does the PFM say in the matter at hand.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Let's have questions. This time from our very own minority, Honorable David.
You say you are still a chief officer in Vihiga County, and you stated very well, I've gotten you that even the member of county assemblies, they don't want to let it go because of your good service in Vihiga County. Let me maybe get it right from you with the following maybe 3 short questions. So you should be ready with your pen so that you make them brief maybe in giving your feedback. What lesson in financial management can you borrow from Vihiga that you think can benefit Kakamega County? Then also, how has Vihiga implemented the World Development Fund? And do you think the same can be done here in Kakamega? Or can we have a replica of the same in Kakamega County? Then my last question. What will be your role in the county budget making process, given that most assemblies where member of county assembly sit, they always perceive that the executive forces them to rubber stamp the budgets. Because what they recommend and give us an observation at times is not implemented or effected. And sometimes you stated here is about the savings or the give wrong priorities. But they make it forceful through the county assemblies to pass what has not been approved even by the member of county assembly. So what will be your role in the budget to make it specifically Kakamega County Assembly and joining the two level of system of government?
Thank you, through Chair. Let me start with the first question about the lesson learned in financial management in Vihiga, which I may carry forward to Kakamega County. The critical lesson that I have learned in financial management is accountability. That is the most critical lesson that I have learned in here. When you are in charge of the county treasury, what I have realized is that many stakeholders do not understand how county treasury works. Unfortunately, Chair, even some of the officers in the county government entities, they don't understand properly how the county treasury works. And because of that, there are always assumptions. You will hear people coming up with assumptions that this county treasury is doing this, these people are not giving us money and all that. But it is because they don't understand. So, how do you resolve this problem? Accountability. Being accountable. And when I mean accountability, bring to the attention of stakeholders, particularly the county entities, that look, this is the resource envelope that we have received for this month. This is what we have spent on personnel emolument. This is what we are going to spend on development projects. This is what we're going to spend on recurrent items. And this is what we're going to spend on DSA. So when you become open, when you learn to be open to the stakeholders and let them know exactly what is happening around, then you will minimize a lot of problems in the county government. Because what I've seen is a section would feel disgruntled saying, oh, we've not been facilitated here. But all you need to realize that even the county treasury, you haven't received funding from the national exchequer. So, but now when you are open to them, when you bring this to their attention in regular meetings, you will have less problems in managing the county treasury. I think that one has saved my skin in Vihiga so many times, because I would be called into some companies, some even in the Siana meetings and whatever, and people up in arms, wanting to know what is going on, why are we not being paid? And the moment you go, you give them the correct position, you produce the figures, you tell them this is so far what we received, this is what we spend on salaries, this is what we spend on development. Then you realize the people who are carrying bunkers, they want to slash you or chop you, then they just drop the bunkers down automatically. So this is a great lesson that I have learned here in Vihiga. Two,
That's what I'm in front of.
No, not honorable members. Not honorable members. Many staff and contractors. I wanted to bring up another key lesson. Sorry, you interjected the point just vanished.
Just on
Well,
just
and
on one front. Just on
yes, and then let me get back to that key lesson. So let me move to Ward Development Fund. When I was in Busia, we were the first county which came up with our development fund. Even though we got a lot of resistance and challenges from Nairobi, particularly my office, because it came to light that in Busia, the members of the county assembly were in control of the ward development fund. Now, the issue of conflict of interest came in. I don't know whether to call it conflict of interest, but the issue of the roles of the county assembly, which is oversight, legislation, and representation, came in. So the control of budget in Nairobi was added, no, the county assembly is supposed to carry out oversight, and therefore we are not supposed to implement the word fund. Now, we later on changed from the word fund to word-based projects, which were allocated under 9 departments. So that it doesn't look like now it is the members of the county assembly who are implementing it, but it is the county executive implementing, but it is the members of the county assembly which will come up with the priority projects in relation or in consultation with the citizens of the specific ward. I carried this to Vihiga as well. Vihiga, by the time I joined in 2018, in the first beginning, they never had the word-based projects. But we introduced it, and my honorable member here can attest to that. And we were giving them, we were at least allocating 20 million to every ward. So ideally, what they would do, they will go sit with their members of the ward, together with the ward development committees. We established what we call the ward development committees. They will identify the projects. And at the point we are now doing the budget, we already know that every ward has got 20 million. So we will require a list of the projects that the member of the county assembly, together with his people, want to undertake. Now, how does that work? Or how does it work? We allocate 20 million to ward development. So the member of county assembly from that ward will look at the projects that he wants to undertake and say, I want to do maybe a road, I want to do a health center, and I want to construct 2 ECD classrooms. So he will go in assistance with his technical team. They will come up with costing of the projects. So he will say, for example, this road I want to do will cost me 5 million. This health center I want to do will cost me 10 million, that's 15. And then these ECD classrooms I want to do will cost me 5 million. So when we are doing our budget here, what will happen is that the 5 million for the ECD classrooms will be budgeted under the Department of Education Development Board. The 10 million that he wants to use to construct a health facility will be budgeted under the Department of Health Services and the workplace projects. And then the other 5 million that he wants to use to do a road will be budgeted under the Department of Transport and Infrastructure water-based projects. So now the executive will implement those water-based projects. The member of the county assembly and the water-based committees will oversight to ensure that the dispensary and health facility has been done to the required standard as per the BQs, the road has been done, and the ECD classrooms have been done. Then you can see that from that arrangement, we have eliminated the accusation that had been levelized to the members of the county assembly that they are implementing. So it's being implemented by executive, but they have a background, say, oversight, check on what is happening. Then finally, once they have been done, of course, we ensure that those projects are paid. So through here, that is how we have been handling the water-based projects in Vihiga. And I intend to introduce a similar thing here. And I can assure you that this way, Vihiga saw some development, even though when we do it, there was a lot of pending needs from the previous regime. But because of introduction of the work-based projects, there was serious development on the ground. Unfortunately, the member here, all of them, because of the work-based projects, were going to be re-elected. But a number of them made a wrong political calculation, and that is why they went home. But not because they had not performed, just because of making a wrong political move at the last minute. But majority of them performed excellently, and the citizens really appreciate it. Then, Chair, on the role of my role in the budget making process, my role is key, will be very key, just to oversee that process of budget making. And many times, from my experience in Vihiga, we have always involved assembly in the process of budget making. That is, the moment we submit our budget estimates to them, or rather the supplementary budgets to them, they always invite us, especially we always go, first of all, to take them through so that they understand what has been factored and what has not been factored. Then they form sectorial committees, which also invite various departments just to go take them through the budgets. And in that way, we have worked with the county assembly well. Sometimes they also make their proposals, which, if possible, they accommodate. And some, given the weight of probably the issue at hand at the county executive, we share with them. We share with them, and they listen. And they say, okay, if that is the position, then let us leave this here. But where they feel like this allocation is not very critical and there's a critical element that is to be tackled, we will also listen to their views and factor them in the matter. So I believe we will also do the same. If I come, if this country house approach me, we will work on the same line, and there will be no problems at all in the process of identification. Thank you.
Thank you. Just come up on that your word list, which is really a point of interest to the members and all the members. The experience in Riga, and this is where you apply this word list project. First, did you require any other legislation to implement that, or use the existing laws to have that implemented? And secondly, who were these, what was the composition of the members of the ward-based committee? The ward-based committee, what is the composition that implemented?
Thank you. For us to implement what is projects effectively the way it is done in Higa, we don't require any law if we use the system that we are currently using, except the existing laws on public finance management and public procurement as it is possible. Unlike if you were to create a fund, because creation of a fund is well established in the PFM Act, where you appoint a fund administrator to manage the fund. So if you were to go the way of a fund, that would require legislation, probably acts and regulations there. But if we implement it the way we are implementing in Giga, the existing laws that have been passed by the National Assembly are adequate to make us go. For the work-based committees, those ones you also require a policy document on how to create those committees. And the members are just drawn within the ward, including the ward administrator, the community. In Giga, we do not have a community administrator, but Kakamega has. So you will bring in the community administrator, you will bring in the ward administrator, and you will bring in, we call them policy, some guys within the ward who are influential, who understand the ward very well, including the national government administrators like the chiefs and all that, because these are people who understand that ward very well and the problems in that ward. So, but ideally, you will require some legislation or some policy in creating the ward-based committees.
Thank you very much. Yes, I believe Honorable Member yes, that's one question or two.
Thank you. Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker. First of all, let me confess that I'm very well known to the nominee. That does not in any way undermine my position on this appointments committee. And two, Mr. Imbayi, if appointed a CEC in charge of finance and the economic plan, how do you intend to address the issue of paying fees, cutting across all ministries in the county government? Two, most ministries have projects that have taken a longer time than planned. So this has been due to procurement issues arising from a centralized procurement. How will you address this concern, given you are coming from a situation that was both even bigger challenges than the challenges we have on the country?
Thank you, through Chair. Pending bills is a disease that cuts across the national government and the county governments. And it's an area that has given problems to a number of contractors and suppliers, others going to the point of being auctioned, others have died because of pressure arising from them taking loans from banks, doing projects which have not been paid, and all that. Now, when I did Vihiga, we found pending bills to the tune of 2.1 billion, which was a very big figure, looking at the resource envelope for the coming annual year. And our earlier days in office were full of drama, of people who had done work to the county and then they had never been paid. I would see a lot of drama, people, ladies coming to, point of view and moving courts, the county headquarters because of this problem. But thank God, we decided that we are going to settle those penalties. And I want to report that in the last 5 years, we managed to settle those penalties, and the balance that is remaining from the historical funds of 2.1, the elite ones to be paid is about 350 million from 2.1 billion. And in this year, we were allocated around 204 million to reduce that 350 million. Now, what will be my immediate plan to resolve pending bills in the county government of Kakamega? First of all, it's unfortunate, Chair, that maybe I may get into this office after the budget estimates had been approved and the supplementary had been approved. But what I did in Vihiga, I advised His Excellency the government that let us do away with the issue of pending bills. And we allocated a substantial amount of money in the supplementary budget, which was just approved the other day. And we intend now from this month of December, we should start paying off those pending bills. So in the event that we have also, as Kakamega County, allocated some good money for settlement of these pending bills, let us give them priority. I will give them priority so that we pay people who have done work. Because the longer we delay in paying these people, then we are creating problems. People's businesses will be auctioned, people's properties will be auctioned, and that will not be good to us as a government. Even yourself, if you put yourself in the shoe of that person going to take a loan in the bank to do a project, and that loan has been accruing interest day in, day out, then you will feel that pain. So I would advise you to prepare for the settlement of the pending bills in place. What usually occasions pending bills in county government? So that even as we settle the ones that we have, we also need to have measures to reduce the issue of pending bills going forward. The first thing that causes pending bills in a county government is when we project our own source revenue higher than what we are able to collect. For example, when you project that you're going to collect 2 billion, and yet you know very well that your capacity is about 1.1, then you are likely to cause a pending bill of almost 900 million. Because you don't realize that 900 million in terms of revenue. So, but because you need to start implementing a project, your projects on time, within time, as you anticipate that maybe by end of June, I will have collected my 2 billion, only to realize that by June you have only collected 1.1, and if you had already implemented the projects, definitely you will end up with that. So, can we do an accurate projection of on source revenue? That is one. Two, another cause of pending bills is when officers go ahead and implement projects that have not been budgeted for. Somebody just wakes up today and decides to undertake a procurement project that is not in the budget. Then you will end up having pending bills. Solution to this, which I have been doing in Vihiga, is to create an office. What I in Vihiga I call it labor reconciliation accountant. This is a guy who is dedicated to monitor that this particular procurement that needs to be undertaken, is it within the budgetary provision or not? So that we prevent officers from implementing projects that are not budgeted for. That will minimize or reduce the issue of pending bills. The other cause of pending bills, which in most cases is usually beyond our control, is when the National Treasury delays in releasing funds to the counties. And all of you are aware that in the last financial year, the National Treasury did not release the June exchequer allocation to counties. That automatically created pending bills. Like us in Vihiga, we were expecting 405, they're about 430 million. Kakamega, I think on monthly you get around 1.1 billion, 1 point something there. So in Kakamega you created pending bills to the tune of 1 billion because National Treasury did not release the last exchequer. So that one is usually beyond our control many times. But what we need to do is that the county departments must always have a clear register of their pending bills, so that in the event we didn't capture an allocation in the original budget estimates, which ideally is submitted to the county assembly by 28th of April, and approved or supposed to be approved by 30th of June, Then this spending need must be captured in the first supplementary budget so that we dispense off with them. So, Chair, that is how I will plan to handle the issue of paying this, but it is in my humble submission because from my experience, I've seen people who have suffered because of paying this. It's important that we pay them. Now, Honorable Chair, the issue of projects in departments which have taken long to be, through Chair, if I can remember well, it is to do with the taken long from either implementation or payment. Now, this problem here has been caused by centralized procurement system. When I get in, I may be very much interested to get reasons or to understand why the county decided to go this centralized procurement way, because the only solution, if the centralized procurement has been the cause of this problem, then we go decentralized. That is the only solution. Decentralized here means you leave departments to undertake their procurement, because it is clear in the PFM Act that county officers have power to carry out procurement in their departments. And for us in here, that is the system that I've been using, where you leave the departments to undertake their procurement, even though in that process, if you read the Public Procurement as a Disposal Act of 2015, the head of supply chain is usually in the center of the procurement process. But we undertake we have.
What is your understanding of leadership and integrity in relation to the chapter 6, the Constitution of Kenya? That is one. Two, the county government has two arms. Can we elaborate the functions of each briefly?
Thank you, through Chair. The leadership and integrity, chapter 6 of the Constitution, this provides on how the public officer should conduct himself or herself while carrying out public duty to the citizens of the county or the citizens of the republic. Now, when you read chapter 6 of the Constitution, you also need to interpret it or read it in line with also Article 10 of the same Constitution, which talks about national values and principles of governance. Also, you cannot avoid Article 232 when you're dealing with chapter 6, Article 232 of the Constitution, which also talks about principles of values and principles of public service. Now, when we talk about chapter 6, first of all, we talk about responsibilities of a leader. Me, having appointed in a public office as a leader, how should I conduct myself? What will be my responsibilities? Two, before I am appointed in such a public office, chapter 6 requires that I must take an oath of affirmation to that office. 3, chapter 6 also that I must have financial property. And that means that as a public servant, I should not accept donations and gifts myself when presented to me in a public function, except otherwise as provided by an act of parliament. And it will also prohibit me from having a bank account outside the Republic of Kenya, except as provided by an act of parliament. Chapter 6 of the Constitution also goes ahead and establishes a commission called the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, which is charged with the responsibility of ensuring implementation of Chapter 6. And it also establishes a legislation on leadership and integrity, of course, which led to the enactment of the Leadership and Integrity Act. Now, if I had to come to specifics of Chapter 6, as a public servant, I should be transparent and accountable as I carry out my duties. Be transparent in your service, but let people know what it is that you are doing. I should be able to account for my actions and the decisions that I will make as the CCM for finance and economic planning. I've seen senior government officers who always run away from responsibility. To an extent, then I ask myself, if you are running away from a responsibility, then why did you look for this position? So, as a public servant, as a leader, I must take responsibility for my actions and the decisions that I make.
Thank you very much. CPA. The last question of the two functions, the functions of the two arms, I think that's the last question.
Let me quickly run through the Constitution of Kenya, Article 176, Article 176 of the Constitution of Kenya establishes the two arms of the county government, and that is the county executive and the county assembly. Now, in a nutshell, the functions of the county executive is administration of the county entities generally on a day-to-day basis. Two is to implement the policies and the laws, both from national and from the county assembly, and to implement the budgets, the annual budgets of the county government, and provide services to the citizens of that particular county. In a nutshell, those are the key functions of the county executive. Now, the county assembly has got three major key roles. And the first one is oversight. Second one, of course, oversight here, I mean, you have to check on what the county executive is doing to ensure that what they're doing is in line with the law and to ensure that what they're implementing is within the approved budget in the appropriation, the appropriation act. Then we have representation. You know, members of the county assembly were elected by the citizens. So when they are in the honorable house, they are also representing the common humanity at articulating their problems, coming up with the policies that will help the citizens. And then the last one is legislation. You come up with county legislations that will help us to manage the county affairs well.
Thank you. I think, Mheshimiwa will give one short question. We shall also finish with the minor and short question, and we call it a day.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Livingston, in your written submission, you talked of for being a director at Unified Holdings. What does the company do? And if possible, will there be conflict of interest as far as the office you want to assume is concerned?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair.
Let the two questions then answer as I know.
Okay, Chair. CPA, I want to ask you this from the DNA of accountants. I happen to be one. When you are exiting the child, you went through an exit interview, and among in the questionnaire, there's a place they asked you about what did you find most frustrating about your job. Every job has its own frustration. But I'm just interested with what you picked to be most frustrating. You say you didn't like fraud investigations. I found it interesting. I'm biased about it.
Yes, Honorable CPA Imbayi.
Thank you, through Chair. Yes, if already still a young company, my director there. Basically, I have some small hotel in town. Also have some shop, normal, that is normal grocery shop, two of them. I also have a mobile boutique selling ladies wear, and I have a shop in Kisumu for just fast food shop in Kisumu. So, being a director, I don't foresee any conflict of interest when I work with the county agent of Kakamega, because I'm guided by section 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, which prohibits any public officer carrying out business with the organization in which he or she works for or has an interest in. I can authoritatively say so because I've never been engaged in any conflict of interest, even where I work in Big. And even when I was not working for Kakamega, I haven't done any business with Kakamega. But in the event anything, I think that is the position. I consider the Leadership and Integrity Act, Chapter 12, uses you avoid conflict of interest. So we need to avoid it at all costs.
That's the second question.
Mr. Speaker, maybe before we answer the second question, kindly you bring to the attention of this panel the names of those shops and hotels, those eateries. Thank you.
The hotel is called Fabi Hotel. Fabi is located along Mumias Road, just around Muge Street where the matatus, the Muge's matatus, have parking. Then I have Kibali shop. Kibali, yeah. Kibali shop, and the other one is called what? This is Madam who deals with those things. So, there is Kibali and is located around opposite, what do you call it? Super. You know Super bread manufacturing? Yes. Then the other one is located down there. Shahambi, down there, Shahambi.
Chair,
Yeah.
Councillor Speaker, I propose that the nominee use the finding and submit to us the location and the names.
Okay, I will do that. Sorry, Chair. I don't participate so much. So Madam who runs those things, so I have that.
It's okay, also remember that it's on the job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, the second question by Honorable Majority Leader, CPA Maina, your fellow CPA.
Yeah, through Chair, you know, I used to work for a financial institution, and to be specific, a circle with over 60,000 members. So there were a lot of instances of, you know, people who wanted to get resources through shortcut means, both staff and members of the circle. The circle is majorly affiliated with most of the membership is drawn actually from James Finley. James Finley is one of the multinational companies in Kericho. And then we also have membership just from cutting across business and other places. So on most occasions, at least I would find myself pursuing a case. Maybe somebody has obtained a loan through some interest means. Somebody, you know, we had some policies. How can you access a loan? You find the policy was stipulating clearly that for you to access a loan, you should have been a member for 6 months. You should have at least put in savings for a period of 6 months. But then you realize through some shortcut means of some staff, executive and even some board members, they bring in somebody with some huge money, they get somewhere, some shares, then within the same month, somebody has been given about 3 times of that. So those are things I used to deal with on a daily basis. And I remember one particular case, we had some two staff who were in charge of that. We had an M-Pesa facility in the circle, So these staff, unfortunately, they decided to do their own things. Yeah, you understand what I mean as an accountant. To do their own things, misuse circle resources. So I started investigating that case. And along the way, I discovered that even some top executive officials were part and parcel of that game. And many times, you know, guys would take them to court, you know, we would open cases for them, and I used to receive a lot of threats. You know, was working in a foreign land, you remember. So we could receive a lot of threats. I could receive a lot of threats. I remember one threat that turned out to be a blessing to me when I was investigating particularly the issue of that. The people who were concerned, they went and decided to use some people to threaten me. So many times, by the way, Chair, I would sleep in my car, and you know how Kericho is very hot. You wake up in the morning, you freeze literally. So they send me a threat, and they say you will find your head in Busia. Your head will be found in Busia. Kwa Kiswahili kichwa chako kitapatikana Busia. So later on, I didn't know that who the God was using this person to prophesy that I will be found in Busia, but still alive. So after a short while, after the Kololo budget is going me, I'm posted to Busia, but they will be much alive, and I'm still alive today.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, right. Thank you very much for doing that activity. Maybe just in 1 minute, just give us your closing remarks as we give you your original certificate.
Thank you, Chair. First, I want to honestly take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Speaker, who is the chair of this committee, and the honorable members for just sparing their time to listen to me, a small man from a small village here. I don't take it for granted. I know you are very busy people, but you have given me the chance. Thank you so much. Two, I have worked outside for the last 18 years, serving other people, other communities, and I think it will be a great thing for me with all the training God has taken me through, with all the experience, now to bring home and assist my people. Thank you very much.
Okay, asante sana. Wish you all the best. We shall be communicating our findings. You are appointing authority. Thank you very much.